And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we are reflecting some more about Terry McLaurin and his contract extension and talking about if this should be a concern for the Washington Commanders. We're also going to be looking at some wide receivers that they can add in free agency still. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jayden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. And so we're going back to a story that really started yesterday here with Terry McLaurin and his contract extension. And we're looking at it now from should it be a concern for the Washington Commanders? And so if you did not get a chance to see here, he did miss the last day of voluntary workouts. He had been present throughout. And so just the reports surfaced that this was Terry McLaurin maybe saying that, hey, a holdout could be looming if a contract extension was not reached. And so I talked about this yesterday. I said that this is really speculation. We don't know anything just yet. We haven't heard anything from him. We also haven't heard anything from the front office. I did mention that also, too, he did skip 2022, that situation. He skipped some workouts and things before they came to a contract extension there. And so, the importance of this is that it becomes a little bit of a concern because now it's getting later into the ramp up for the season, because May 28th, the Washington Commanders are set for their OTAs. They have that May 28th, May 30th, June 3rd through the 4th, and then June 6th. And then June 10th through the 12th, that's when you get into mandatory mini camp. Then after that, you're looking at training camp. And so I think that this is something where you want to absolutely nip it, I think, in the bud, and I think you want to take care of it. I think from a financial standpoint, I don't think that that's the issue. And I think that when you look at the production, I said this, that Terry McLaurin, to me, is going to go down as one of the best that has played for this franchise. I mean, 6 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and I think that he's got a ton more, especially with Jayden Daniels. This is a guy that I think is, he's still maybe heading into his prime, and I think that the offense this year is really going to be primed for him to get even more open in the offense this upcoming season. And so I just think that I could see the yards, the touchdowns, and everything else going up for Terry McLaurin. And I just think that now it's a concern in a way that you want to get it taken care of. For one, with the chemistry standpoint, I think that when you look at just what Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin have done, I think that the chemistry is there. But I think that more so now, when you add Deebo Samuel, you add Jalen Lane, right? You have new additions to the wide receiver room, and he's really the leader. You want to make sure that everybody is just in sync as much as possible. And I think that just understanding, hey, if this situation happens, I'll be here on the field. We look at this hand signal. This means this means that, whatever it looks like. I think that you want Terry McLaurin there for all that, even though he's been super present. And I just think that even though, the offense, it's familiar, I think that there's going to be definitely some more wrinkles here with the added players and whatnot, but you do not want to see Terry McLaurin miss, I think, a moment of that. And so I do think that that's where I would get concerned as far as a chemistry standpoint. You want to keep that going, because I really feel like that's been key for the Washington Commanders moving forward with this franchise and really taking off. Is just the chemistry and everything has clicked. And so I would not like the Washington Commanders to really mess that up. And I think that this is where it gets interesting just from a front office standpoint. And not that it's necessarily concerning, but this could be the first time that you see Adam Peters have to step in a potential holdout situation. And so how this situation gets resolved really could set the tone for the rest of the way negotiations really go, because, you don't want things to get into a point where it becomes, a stalemate. and it gets ugly, and then the relationship kind of goes downhill that way. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I don't feel like that is where, this franchise would ever let that happen. I just think that, look, Terry McLaurin, I think he wants to be with the Washington Commanders. I think Adam Peters wants him to be here with the Washington Commanders. He talked about this before, talking about them taking care of Terry McLaurin. So I just think that you want to make sure that you take care of this guy. Like I said, what he's meant to this franchise and really what he's done over this last season has been spectacular because, like I said, everybody in the building knew 17 was coming, but nobody could stop him. I can only imagine now when you get him some more running mates, you get Noah Brown back healthy, and who knows, what we are going to see again from just a Jaylen Lane and those type of contributions and things like that. And then also too, with Jayden Daniels, who I expect to really step it up again this season. I know it's crazy to say that after such a great rookie season. I do expect that he's going to take it to the next level, which is ultimately going to take the wide receiving game up to the next level. And so you want to make sure that Terry McLaurin is taken care of. He's not missing any infield time, and he's definitely getting acclimated to the new teammates, new teammates, and then also to getting used to the new playbook as well, because that definitely we are going to see some more wrinkles in the playbook from Cliff Kingsbury. So I think it's super important that the Washington Commanders take care of this situation. And you just really want to set the tone moving forward with the rest of your players that, look, if there's somebody that you want to take care of, let them know that, hey, we're going to take care of you, so they don't even have to worry about that as far as having to go into a holdout situation. I think that that's a good look to for the organization. And so next, let's go ahead. Let's jump into, some free agent wide receivers here that the Washington Commanders could take a look at. And so I'm not saying that they necessarily would have to add one, but, you just wonder, okay, with cuts and things like that could possibly happen, injuries and things like that, are there some veteran wide receivers that really could come in? They don't need to be necessarily one or twos, but they could really be huge for you, especially if you're making a late run in the season. And so I think that the first wide receiver that still comes to mind for me is going to be Keenan Allen. And so, look, I know that Keenan Allen only had 744 yards this last season with the Chicago Bears or whatnot, but I still think that when you look at him as just a player that runs great routes and things like that, like I still think that he runs a very good route. And I think that he still gets enough separation, and he's always known how to really use his frame to shield off a defender. And so I think that when you're looking at some tough catches, you need somebody to make it happen on third downs and stuff like that. Like, I think that Keenan Allen certainly could be a player that you could throw out there. I'm not saying that he's necessarily an every down type of player, which is another reason why I'm intrigued with bringing in a veteran like Keenan Allen. I think that he could definitely impact the Washington Commanders and really mix some things up, even if he's just out there for a decoy situation. But I would like to take a chance on him, especially if we're looking at something for a year. I would definitely take a chance on him. Like I said, he had 70 receptions, 744 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10.6 was his average per catch. So not bad if you're bringing in a player that could be on a rotational standpoint. Next up, another player that I might consider here would be Amari Cooper. I think that Amari Cooper certainly had the year that he wanted to forget there with the Buffalo Bills, but he was having a decent year with the Browns there before he got traded. And so I just think that if you can get him back to where he was in 2023, pretty solid there. 2022, he had 1,000 yards. In his last season in Dallas, he had 865 yards. And so, look, again, this is a player that is not necessarily going to be out there for an every down type of situation. Maybe he's rotational at this point in time. I still think he has enough athleticism to use his, body and frame to kind of shield off defenders. And so I think that you could see him maybe be a red zone threat, for the Washington Commanders that way. I can also see, too, Amari Cooper still having the ability to work the middle of the field. I think between him and Keenan Allen, personally, I think Keenan Allen is a little bit more of the route technicianist, personally, just looking at him. But I wouldn't mind Amari Cooper there to add that type of size and that type of experience to the wide receiver room. I certainly think that you could need that, especially if, one of the wide receivers goes down, because, again, You never know what's going to happen throughout the year. Obviously, you don't want to be injured or anything like that. But look, if Noah Brown or somebody else goes down, hopefully this doesn't, you at least have a little bit of an insurance policy here with a veteran wide receiver. So you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking about this. Do you think that, with Terry McLaurin and, his contract extension looming here, do you feel like that this is concerning here for the Washington Commanders? Because I was pointing out yesterday on the video, with the numbers and things like that, that you're probably looking at a contract that is going to be, I think, into the $31 million per range for him. And like I said, for a guy that has really 6 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, I think that you absolutely go with that with Terry McLaurin. I don't think that there's really any signs of slowing down with that. You definitely go ahead, you pay him out. I think it's well worth it. And, just the fact that he's done this with 11 different QBs, in 6 years has been just outstanding. And so I don't think it's necessarily a concern as far as financially and things like that. It's just more so the look of the franchise. You don't want any other player to feel like that they have to go into a holdout situation to get the contract done. I think that that's number one. Number two would be you just want him to be out there to get as much chemistry as possible with the new teammates, possibly the new wrinkle in the playbook, and not possibly, we know it's going to be a new wrinkle in the playbook and everything there with Cliff Kingsbury, and just being with Jayden Daniels with him as he gets ready to take off, I think, again, in year 2. So you want to have him in the building. And then, I think another thing, too, to think about with this, is just what about the other stuff that's going to happen throughout the season? Like I talked about the Hard Knocks and how the Washington Commanders are going to be on that show along with the rest of the NFC East. But it just goes to show you that all eyes are going to be on the Washington Commanders. And so we know that, with the primetime games, we know that with this show appearance and everything else. And so I just think that if I'm in that building, I'm coaching, I'm in the front office or whatnot, I know that the rest of the league has the Washington Commanders really on notice, right? Like they're looking to see what you're doing. They've watched all the film, they're anticipating seeing the Washington Commanders or whatnot. I just think that we got to have max focus going into the season. And so no distractions, whether it's, contract distractions or whatnot, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come up throughout the season, a lot of stuff that the Washington Commanders are attached to here with the NFL. And so I just think it's all about taking care of this situation now, so there is just no distractions heading into the season. And so you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking about this. And look, as we always say here, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.